All right, everybody. So yesterday, I covered the upthrusts. So we've gone over the key things in the book, um, in, which was where to find trades, and then the two setups. Which the first one was springs and upthrust, and the second one was break and test. Basically, a test of the breakout. So those are the setups, and the idea is really simple. Market on a high time frame has a spring. You go to a lower, like let's say you have an hourly or above, to at least an hourly. Shouldn't be anything less. But hourly and above, like 3 hours, great. 4 hours, good. And you got a spring, and you just go to a lower time frame for an hourly you use a 5 minute or like a 3 to 5 minute. And 5 minutes fine though, just use that. And so you have 60-minute spring and a 5 minute, and you go to a 5 minute and see what's going on in the spring. If there's heavy buying on that spring, it means that you have responsive buying, meaning the breakdown is being met with responsive buying, heavy buying, professional buying, and the chances of the market going back up is quite high. And the same thing for upthrust. If you have an upthrust, meaning an attempt to break out, but the breakout is met with responsive selling, heavy selling, then which you can check on a lower time frame, then the chances are it's an upthrust and price is going to go back down, and the breakout is going to fail. All right. So what the fuck did I just? So remember the three conditions whenever you get a breakout position or a breakdown. And the first condition is, does it have follow through? If you have a breakout, does it have follow through? If the answer is no, there's a problem. The second is, does price come back within the range? If it does, there's an issue. And finally, on a lower time frame, is the other side, buying or selling heavy? I mean, if you have a breakout, are you getting responsive selling? If you have a breakdown, are you getting responsive buying? So the idea is really simple. Those three criteria will help you determine whether breakout is going to fail and it's really an upthrust, or breakdown is going to fail and it's really a spring. So I've clearly indicated that, and I'm not going to repeat everything, but that's the idea, right? So now we're going to practically apply this stuff. All right, that's the point. The point is not to read a book. The point is to implement and trade. So where was I? So you have the daily over here. Underneath that, you have the hourly, and on the right-hand side, I have 5 minute. And that's for the ES. Now again, here I have the daily for the oh no. What did I do? All right, switch the charts. Give me a sec. All right, that's more like it. So you have the daily crude. Underneath that, okay, let's try again. So the daily ES, then underneath that the hourly ES, and then the 5 minute ES. Then on the right hand side of the chart, we have the daily crude, hourly crude, the right hand side, 5 minute crude. All right. So now the idea is really simple. We just what I've done is I've kind of created the signals for showing, the spring and the upthrust, that the heavy buying and selling, to validate them, right? But you don't need to do that. You can just take a look. Anyway, so where was I? So first, we're going to take a look at the springs and upthrusts that occurred today on the hourly chart and their corresponding 5 minute chart. So the idea, you do this over time, you're just going to get it. You just do this over time, you're just going to get it. I mean, it's really, do it again and again. It's really straightforward. You have support resistance level, penetration of it comes right back within the range with heavy buying, heavy selling, and that's it. So here we have, okay, I'm going to show both the failures as well as, when it worked. So when it worked and when it didn't work, when you have a spring failure and when you have an upthrust failure. So here is the rally on the ES. All right, so here's the rally. So underneath these lows right here, I'm looking for springs underneath these lows. Why? Because I see that the rally had a breakout, had absorption, had a breakout, then it came up here, and then it sold off heavily. Now, this was a questionable trade, and the reason is as follows. This damn thing is actually in an upthrust position on the daily. See? So you actually have a chance of a significant fall, right? And that's what happened. Like if you see this high of 4581 was upthrusted by the high 4597. See that? 4581 was upthrusted by the high 4597. So this upthrusted that high and came back, and on hourly it looks like this. As it was coming back, I thought that possibly if it's going to continue, it's going to hold this level, but it was unable to. So this is an hourly failure on a spring, because on the daily it's in an upthrust position ready to pull back. This is ready to pull back. How you know is look at the amount of damage they did in 3 bars. 3 bars is more damage than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 3 bars did more damage than like 12, 13 bars. But still it could have sprung. And this is one of the reasons why you're going to have spring failure, is if you have heavy selling on the pullback, especially from a bad technical position on the daily. So on the 5-minute, you can very clearly see that as on the daily, as the high was upthrusted, the damage came right here. So this is a upthrust COB, meaning a COB that comes from an upthrust, or a change of behavior that comes from an upthrust. When in the upthrust position, change of behavior or change of character or sign of weakness, or whatever the hell you want to call it, that's what happened. And I could tell that this is really, really strong because of the angle and speed of the down move. The angle and speed of the down move indicates strong selling because it is steep angle because of the wide range bars, creating a steep selling angle. All right, so boom, right here, here. However, as it went into this position right here, underneath these lows, against this breakout bar, it could have rallied. And this was right here, the 90-minute move here. This was a potential for buying. Meaning this potentially was buying, pull back to take out the high again if the bulls were strong enough, but they weren't. Why? Because the bears initiated selling. Right here, here, bulls came and could not get above this breakout. The bear breakout. They could test the breakout, but the bears stood their ground on the breakout bar and basically just, continued the selling downwards, as you can see. So this is a case where the spring is going to fail because of the bad position on the daily, particularly in this case, an upthrust position on the daily, and the daily is obviously a higher time frame than the hourly, and the heavy selling from here. And that heavy selling indicates a strong pullbacks, heavy selling pullback. You don't want to see strong, heavy selling pullbacks. You want to see gentle pullbacks, right? So this is a case where the spring is not, it's not going to work, and the market actually gave the upthrust. So the trade is also still valid for an upthrust, meaning if the price comes back within this area, you want to take a look, right? See if these guys who sold heavily and caused the upthrust change of behavior right here, boom, boom, whether they're ready to sell more, right? And they'll get there. I mean, just have to take out this high, this high. They'll probably take out this high, but we'll see if it comes back there. All right, now we're going to take a look at, but from the perspective of what worked, what didn't on this. The spring buying did not work because of the heavy change, upthrust change of behavior, selling off of a daily. Okay, so if this, I couldn't get this because it didn't pull back enough, right? It's a very shallow pullback. Basically, it pulled back and only tested this area. It was a shallow area. It's I mean, it's the exact test of the ice. It's very shallow, like 33%, something like that. So if this went up here, it would definitely be a short. Ready takes slam, sell, 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 right? So this was the upthrust trade off of the daily, where you have this high to this high, this high upthrusting the 4597 high, upthrusting the 4581 high. As it attempted to break out, above the 4581 level, we see heavy selling, taking it again back within the range, no follow through, and lower time frame responsive heavy selling. So rejected. Now how low is it going to go? I don't know, but it can pull back. I mean, I have some levels here. It might go there, and be ready for it anyway. So now we're going to take a look at oil and see what trades were available on oil. All right, so we see this well-defined low and a second low, right over here, one low, two low. The low here is 76.26, and here is 76.36. It broke out, went to 77.88. After it went to 77.88, it pulled back and cleared these lows. It sprung these lows, going into the test of this breakout, right? So this is a spring. Let's take a look at what happened. As it went down, boom, boom, right? As it went down, you got a spring COB. So I like to call it a spring change of behavior, or responsive buying, or change of character, or sign of strength. Right here. Very clear. Right there. Spring COB. SPCOB. From that level, attempted break of that level, there was buying. You could see these two lows. Low here, 76.26, 76.36, was in jeopardy of a breakdown. And what happened is that breakdown was actually a spring. Why was it a spring? Apply the three criteria. Did it have follow through? Is the first criteria. It did not have follow through. Did it come back within the range? It came back within the range and closed above. Did it have responsive buying from the lower time frame? Yes, it did. It's a spring, right? And what happens? It takes out the high. So you have a spring. What's going to happen now? It's going to go target those highs at a spring, and bang, takes out the high. The only problem with this trade, though, I mean, you can't get them all, is that after the spring change of behavior, this nice big rally, it didn't have a pullback. It just popped. So, I mean, I don't know what to say other than there's nothing you can do about this. If it just goes, it just goes. If you're looking for a pullback, it still hasn't pulled back. So now the thing is, it's going back into that upthrust position. Right, so we'll see if it absorbs here or there's selling, and I'll take it back down to these levels and let's see what happens next. All right, so what did you learn? You have springs and you have upthrust, the three conditions. Is there follow through? Does the price go back within the range? And is there responsive buying or selling? And if so, then it could be a spring or an upthrust and not a breakout or breakdown, right? And those were the trades available today. All right, folks, so thank you very much. Again, this is based off of the book that I just went over with you guys, and you can go over it and read it. And you don't have to go through all those bar by bar activities, because you have to be insane to actually read every single bar. So the bar by bar is not done by anyone. All right, you'll use bar by bar to learn. It's a learning tool. Like when you go through bar by bar, you learn about shortening of the thrust. You learn about progress in the close. You learn about clustered closes. You learn about that stuff, the reading, price reading, right? But you're not going to sit down and say, oh, look, let me read this bar and what does it mean? And this bar and what does it mean? And this inside, what does this mean? What is the psychology? This bar, this bar, this bar. That's really asinine, right? Are you going to just read every single bar? And also, this is going to be mentally taxing and it makes zero sense. And also, it's going to mess with your mental expectations. Because it's not possible to sit all day reading bars and not get exhausted by the end of the week, or even by the end of the day, or after a few hours, and try to think you know something about price and what the next bar is going to do every time. So, you use bar by bar to understand price, what the message is in the price bars. Like if there's a big wicks, if there are a bunch of wicks, right? And you have high-end closes or low-end closes and stuff like that. And if the close takes out the high or the low, or if there's an expansion and ease of movement within the bar, and where that occurs, especially on breakouts, breakdowns, climaxes. So it's a learning tool, but not really practical for doing it. It's just a learning tool. That's what I'm trying to get across. I don't see how it can be done, especially if you're looking at more than one market throughout the day. It's just not a practical approach. So just be careful of stuff that's out there that's, wants to go. Understand its purpose is to understand price action and build some type of intuition. Anyway, thank you. Bye.